Hey everybody, it's Emily the Crazy Worm Lady. I'm here today to finally bait out the last of my worms and harvest the castings from the rest of my worm factory. So I went through this tray a few times all around the perimeter of where we put in our banana burrito, but there's a handful of worms here and there, but for the most part all of these castings are free and clear of worms. I mean, very, very few, so this should be perfectly fine to screen. Looks like there's one little one there. See if I can grab him. So I'm just gonna dump him over here. Okay. So let's see what we ended up with. It's right here. And it essentially looks like they're crawling all over it. They completely got into it. This is just what I wanted. And this is going to be easy. I mean, you can see all of them that just fell when I pulled this out. And I just dumped that into a bucket that will then go back into the system. And I'm just going to pull all of these worms that I see out of here. Let's see. Get him. There's one over here. There's this guy down here. But all of these are directly around where we had the banana. So I'll dig a little bit below it because oftentimes the juices that release then go underneath, and that's where the worms hang out. So I'll pull these guys out of here. And then I think we'll probably be just about good to go to get a harvest from here. So I initially didn't think it was going to be possible to screen these castings because they were very kind of muddy, but as I've left them sit in here, it's only been about a week and a half that I let them sit, and I covered them up with some dry rags and I just turned it over every couple of days, and now these castings are, oh, here's some worms. That's not a worm, it's a stick. Nice and flaky, and I think these should be good to screen. So I did post that video, I don't know, a week or so ago, harvesting my other tray. So I'm not going to bore you with that whole process. So I'm going to screen these out, and then I will bring you guys back for the finished product. Okay guys, so it's been about a half an hour. I've gotten most of this tray finished sifting, and now I have this last little bit down in this corner, and I thought I would just quickly show you how it's gone for me. So I'm just gonna put a good few handfuls in here, and using the sifter basket, just go back and forth until you're pretty much just left with either unprocessed food or just kind of these balls of compost that were just a little bit too wet. So I just kind of roll them around for a minute, get as much as I can out, and then the rest of it I put in my bucket with the worms so that it can go back into the bin and get processed over again, because there's no reason to throw that out. That's perfectly good compost. So this is what I just sifted, and I'm not finding cocoons in here. I think it took me so long because I was searching for cocoons and I only found 2, so I kind of stopped looking at that point. So let's see. These windows from junk mail are a royal pain to pick out, so if you have the time to cut the windows out or rip them out when you put your junk mail through the shredder, I would highly recommend that, because all I've been doing is picking out the pieces of plastic window. And I am doing the sifting and all indoors. If you really were worried about, you know, your floors getting dirty or something, you might want to lay down a tarp. I have hardwood floors, so I will just sweep up when I'm done, because little bits do kind of fly off to the side. So that's what I'm left with. And again, I think I'm hitting some worms here at the end because they all dug deep as I was pulling off the top to screen. So even though I really thought these castings initially were going to be way too wet, it turned out to be perfectly fine. I just let them sit in this mortar tray. I put some dry rags over the top, and I turned it up about every day or two just to kind of aerate it well. And I think being in this shallow bin that, you know, was getting a lot of aeration, they were able to dry out for me. So I was really pleased that it ended up being doable for me. So I'm just going to load this down with the last little bit of these castings that I have. And I will sift these out. Just trying to let you guys see it fall through. But you can certainly hear it falling through. So I do have some stuff left over at the end, definitely not a lot, and all of that will be thrown back into the worm factory. I will throw this into my container where I'm storing my castings, but let me just show you what that looks like right now. So I actually had this mounted right here on this bin, and this is just a regular old Rubbermaid. I leave the lid off and I leave it covered either loosely with a piece of plastic to keep the moisture in, or I'll put a towel over the top and then just check it periodically to make sure it's not drying out. But this is an 18-gallon. I would say it's getting close to being halfway full, so maybe about 9 gallons of compost in here. And all of these castings are from my worm factory. So in a matter of a couple of weeks, I was able to get, you know, 8 or 9 gallons. So I think this is definitely a good system that I've kind of worked out here. But definitely pleased with this harvest. Just wanted to bring you guys along. It looks like the banana burrito worked pretty well. I'm going to finish putting these castings in here, and I'm going to show you what I'm left with after doing all of the sifting. Okay, I pulled a light down here so you could see really well what I'm left with. It's kind of these pellets that I'm left with that were some of the moister castings, and a decent number of worms. Our banana burrito is in here, and it's definitely was very helpful in getting at least a bulk of my worms out. And this will go back into the worm factory as well, because you see all of these worms here. You'll also see a few like pieces of avocado shell, things that take much longer to break down, and that's just fine. So it does look like there's a lot. I had all of this in a 5-gallon bucket. It wasn't even halfway full, so you know, I think I definitely got way more castings than I have left over. And if I really wanted to, I could try to dry these a little bit more and try to screen again, but for me, throwing it back in the system is just as good because it'll get worked over again, and then next time, hopefully I'll get more of the castings out, and it's only going to get richer as it, you know, reprocesses. Worms can reprocess their own castings over and over again, so they don't lose any value by doing that. So this will all go back into the system. I just wanted to bring you guys along. For me, this was definitely the most successful harvest bait attempt that I've had so far, so I wanted to show you guys how it turned out. So drop your comments below, like this video, subscribe if you'd like a little bit more content from me. I will talk to you guys soon, and I hope you have a great night.